players, the personalities who come from around the world to play professional soccer in the United States.
In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue, the other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
Bucket. It's a bucket. It's a bucket hat. Bucket hat, bucket hat for everyone. It's a bucket. It's a bucket.
Shamelessly advertising our merch. Because we are sellouts, the Schnitzel Boys. We are just in it for the merch.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have shame. No,
really.
you need bucket hat. It was
like,
raining. Wouldn't you have wanted to have that bucket hat 2 weeks ago?
I have several I own several bucket hats. I like a bucket hat. I think it's a stylish choice for a middle-aged person like me. I have Germany bucket hats. I have NYCFC bucket hats. I have neutral bucket hats. For a while, I was wearing a bucket hat that I bought at the Cure show that had the Cure logo on it. I don't know where that went. That was a good one.
When did you go to a Cure show? Is this year?
No, this was before COVID. This was in 2019, I believe.
Ah, gotcha.
And I had this was a corduroy bucket hat. It was very, very nice, but I don't know where it went. I may have lost it. Anyway.
I should get a couple of these bucket hats, Bjorn, because I teased in the last hour. We talked about kids and soccer and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just booked myself a fun little event that I'm going to be doing in May. I am going to be watching, perhaps, one Lionel Messi live in Miami.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I am going to Miami with my bucket hats, with my nephew, who's really into soccer nowadays.
Awesome.
Getting into soccer with his friends. His friends and him argue over which one's better, Inter Miami or El Nasser. They're part of that generation. That's very real.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's very real amongst our youth, the American youth. I don't know which one my son lies on, but I got a bunch of tickets because my New York Red Bulls are going to be there in May, and they're going to school Lionel Messi on how to play this sport thing right.
Wow.
And I got his tickets in the New York Red Bulls supporters section. We're going to be there. I'm going to force him to wear red. We're rooting on the red. And then I will be there the weekend of May 5th or whatever.
That's very exciting.
However, Lionel Messi is injured. He hasn't been playing. He just pulled out of the Argentina friendlies, so we'll see. Maybe it's his triumphant return.
He's not going to play Argentina against El Salvador in Philly? Oh, my God.
There.
Say it ain't so.
It is so, my friend. It's so.
This is also the week where all the people that spent lots of money for the Red Bull against Inter Miami game this weekend are going to realize that he was never going to play that game because of international break.
I know. I love it. I love it so much. But it is what it is. But anyway, I just want to bring that up. I guess we can go right into that. We have a few things to talk about today. We have...
If we could get right into it instead of our usual distractions, bucket hats and such. All right. What do you got? What do you got?
All related.
Talk to me.
Bucket hats.
Talk to me. I can wait. My team won a game, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a Freaky Friday switchy situation.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost...
It turns out we are not going to lose every game, and you all are not going to not lose every game.
True. We had a very switcheroo this weekend. But first thing I want to do is I'm going to introduce a new segment that I unfortunately did not create a drop for yet, but it's time for a new drop. It's called... And help me with the name here. We got to workshop this new segment. I think it's called The Latest Appleism.
Latest Appleism. Oh, right? I love it. Yes.
Maybe the Appleism of my eye, perhaps? I don't know. The Appleism. Let's call it the Appleism.
When we sit at home and we watch MLS broadcasts on Apple and then we go...
Sorry, what?
That's exactly it. And my friend just a second ago was texting me. He's at a live WWE Raw event in Raleigh, North Carolina with The Rock on the microphone right now. It's happening as we speak.
It's like that.
Monday Night Raw, and the way WWE is, it's sports entertainment. So you got the guy be like, this is the greatest fight I have ever seen in the 100 years of the thing. You know, that's part of the thing.
Yeah, it's vaudeville.
But for soccer, we should cool it a little bit, right? It should really just be a call the game.
Not anymore. Everything
Anyway.
is great always.
So great that at the beginning of the Columbus Crew New York Red Bulls game, the commentator who escapes me at the moment, maybe it was Caleb Williams? No, I don't think it was Caleb Williams. I think he was on the NYCFC game. He said that the Sandro Schwarz, I'm blanking. What's the best coach in MLS? What's his name again? The Columbus Crew guy?
Oh, Wilfried Nancy.
Wilfred, the Wilfried Nancy, Sandro Schwarz is the Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola of MLS.
Sorry, what?
Like, we should be lucky to have to hear in the league. We want great coaches to stay here, like these guys. It is Sandro Schwarz is the Jurgen Klopp, and Wilfried Nancy is the Pep Guardiola of MLS. And that's what they were talking about. And this is what's going on. And I'm like, Sandro Schwarz has coached 2 games. I mean, yeah, he knows Klopp. They're buds, but he doesn't make him Jurgen Klopp.
It does seem like somehow this year the hype train has just completely. It's like you can just say whatever. I mean, I was saying, I think there's definitely. It's like they're going all in on the nonsense.
Yeah, that's why this title of this episode is called "I Could Watch Him All Day," because that was in regards to Santi Rodriguez.
That's what I was saying because Santi Rodriguez scored a massive, beautiful free kick goal on Saturday. And I turned to my friend and I was like, "Well, that's going to be on loop tomorrow at Steve Cancellosi's house. He's
gonna watch it all day.
just going to watch Santi's free kick all day,
unless he has time to go watch the Pep Klopp MLS edition between Sandro Schwarz, who's a buddy of Klopp's. He's from Mainz Shore. But Sandro Schwarz is a relatively obscure. What is he a coach? He's like an obscure
What's
one.
the Wilfried Nancy Pep Guardiola connection? Just
I have no idea.
Just they're both successful
I have no idea.
in their own levels. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Wilfried Nancy is excellent, by the way. He's a great coach. He's the best coach in MLS. I really do.
Nobody. Listen, it's just counterproductive. It's like I feel like
he doesn't have to be.
It's
Pep
like it doesn't
Guardiola.
have to be its own. Yeah, it's just. I think that's just seems to be like that they've decided. I mean, Don Garber said something. Don Garber also is like, again, it's like really on a tear of like saying weird stuff. He was saying how the U.S. have now become the ATM of the soccer world and the most commercially most commercially valuable soccer market in the world. And it's like, what are you talking about? There's such a huge gap still between. I mean, there's a huge gap between France and the Premier League.
Yeah, there's gaps all over the place. What was the name of that guy?
There's big gaps in terms of spending, quality, whatever. And there's just nothing gained to pretend that that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk. There's some the MLS thing continues where there's a big weird thing where it's like the commentators are doing this weird WWE sensationalism journalism nonsense.
Everything, the fans are amazing. Everything's amazing.
Right. Yeah, and then the real story is like Wilfried Nancy is defending champ. He was shafted at Montreal, and he's a great coach. And Sandro Schwarz is the new guy. He's had a couple of good games. And we got the high press versus, well-played Nancy Ball. And Nancy Ball won 100%. I mean, the New York Red Bulls had a bad game. We had no chances. We were running around. Columbus Crew dominated that game from beginning to end, a very solid 3-0 win. That's not the Man City and Liverpool matchup they promised me at the very beginning of that game. And the New York Red Bulls, despite looking really, really good, they really dropped the ball over the weekend. They just were not good. And it's MLS, so you expect this stuff. The New York Red Bulls are proving that they're better than some teams, but not others. It's just where the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I know it's just one game, but Wilfried Nancy, schooled it. It was the Columbus Crew was just ready to go, and they were great. So I don't have much more to say other than Columbus Crew 3-0, great home win. Klopp, Guardiola, that was not, is all I can say. It's just one game, so we'll see how things play out. Sandro Schwarz said a lot of the right stuff. He's like, they just weren't in it, and maybe I did one or two things wrong and stuff, So there you go. That happened there, but that's the Appleism. On Don Garber.
One thing what were you going to say?
Just going on Don Garber. Don Garber is on his thing about how the players and coaches are loving the new refs.
Yeah, that is
but
not
coaches
true.
and players haven't really been saying that. They're really not saying that.
Especially, however, I think perhaps coaches and players for a couple of weeks were holding their collective tongues, but now no more. There were a lot of complaints. There were a lot of complaints, and the answer is Keaton Parks got a red card in our game, and I couldn't even find a close up of it. I don't even have an opinion about whether or not that was the correct decision, because I could not see. The only thing that was that I saw was a wide shot that was kind of very far away. The camera angle in Yankee Stadium is always poor because the camera is so far away. Because it's
was this in the highlights? You have to go to the original broadcast.
No, it's in the highlights, but there's no.
Yeah.
I don't think, as far as I'm aware, there was never a close-up replay of it anywhere, and I think
there
that
is
just
a good
seems.
chance. There's a good chance there's a better angle of it in the broadcast itself, but it was a bad call. So when they edit the highlight packages, they make those moments unclear.
But even during the broadcast, they did not show a proper close-up replay like you would expect. It's odd. It's odd, and people are no longer into it. These
Don Garber said that he's hearing so much positive feeling how much they're loving the referees. So I don't know what you're smoking.
Yeah, I don't know the refs and because the feelings have hardened on those sides, because that's why Garber.
In other news, Garber's handing out fines left and right. I'm trying to silence
somebody
people.
was saying on Twitter, when they add up all the fines, they can just pay the refs because they have this extra money from all the fines. But
that is true, but that is so true.
But they're not even talking. The big news today was that they're trying to schedule another meeting for further negotiations by the end of this week. Currently there's not even any negotiating going on between the refs and the league, or rather the professional referees organization.
I thought there was a mediator involved. Did that break down?
Yeah, no, the mediator is, but they're not meeting, and therefore there's no mediating. So it's the feelings. I think it's what we've talked about before. The league is pissed.
If I'm the refs association, I don't budge. By the way, I'm just like, let's keep it riding, because it's only going to get worse on their end, right?
But it seems like the league feels like they made a good offer and they are not prepared to really up it much. That seems to be the sense I'm getting. And the refs, have kind of, I guess, painted themselves into a corner in the sense that they need an upgrade to the current offer in order to, not lose face. So I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't seem like there's a quick solution in the offing. And, but yeah, those, the two home games we had where I got a close-up view, I was pretty unimpressed with both of those performances.
I think the big complaint over the weekend was the Montreal-Chicago game, which was a bonkers game in general.
Right, that was crazy, and it ended with this Kellen Acosta insane wind goal. Like, I've never seen anything like it.
I shared it on TikTok. Again, Stefan the soccer guy. Now MLS is sharing it like, oh wow. And I'm like, there's two ways to look at this. One, it's like cool, it's big, which is fine. But the other is like, what the heck is going on here? Like, what is this Bush League nonsense? So when I shared it on TikTok, it's a bunch of people like, only in MLS, which is not true and unfair, obviously. That could happen anywhere. But in Chicago, it's the windy city, and the wind was strong, just like the snow game last week.
Yeah. American
cities offer some elements, man. And that wind was just. Do you know what? I think they were called rocket balls, like these old rubber band balls, but they weren't flat. So when you bounce them, they bounced all over the place. That was like the fun of them. It was like they were playing with a rocket ball. It's just like the ball is just going and bouncing, and they don't know what the heck's going on. But they turned around a 1-3 to a 4-3 win with that crazy Kona Costa goal.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, go online, check it out. He randomly picks it up, kicks it from his own half, I believe, way high up, and the goalkeeper is too in front of it. He was too off his line, and he couldn't get his hand to it, and it just like bounced off his hands into the goal. For the last-ditch effort for Chicago. Good for them getting the 4-3. They needed 3 points. But then the coach afterwards, and I wish I had more specific angles, like I wish I watched these more specifically, was like there should have been a red card in the 20th minute. That was missed. There was a handball
because the
missed.
goalie came out. The goalie
Right.
came out of the box and played the ball with his hand. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then Raheem Edwards got a red card for like. Yeah, it was a wild game.
And he's like, I can't bite my tongue. I'm going to get fined, but here you go. And a couple other players have spoken out against it. And, the position on the refs is strengthening. The position on the league is weakening. So, that's how I see it. But it is what it is.
Yeah, they're meeting again towards the end of the week. So hopefully everybody can figure something out. But yeah, I think, it's not great.
Now, here's another one. Is the officiating we've accustomed to really better than this? Do we feel that it would be an upgrade? Going back to our old, what are they called? The what's the name? Peter Wilton. What are they called again? Ted Uncle and the gang. Who's the other one? Alan Kelly, right? Isn't he one?
Alan
Chapman. Alan Chapman.
Alan Chapman and
the old
yeah.
gang.
I mean, that's the question I have, right? It's like, are they overplaying their hand? Are they really that great? I mean, yeah, we're complaining about them a lot too. We don't. I would, they have this idea that they should get paid as much as as all the top league refs in the world. I think Bundesliga refs are better than MLS refs significantly.
Oh, definitely. I would say significantly, yeah.
I think.
And up until, I think, 10 or 15 years ago, Bundesliga refs were amateur, I believe. They didn't get paid until late.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think Prem League refs. I think the Prem has done poorly in terms of implementing VAR, and that has hurt them. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Alan Chapman a couple years ago didn't know what the rules were for a penalty kick shootout in a playoff game, and so there's definitely.
Was that the one in Orlando?
Yeah, the one in Orlando.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think these guys are world class, all of them. I mean, Armando Villarreal, I generally like, but I thought missed a foul in the MLS Cup final, and was was scared to call it maybe for the late equalizer in Portland. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair question. Are they overplaying their hand? Is it really that much worse?
Yeah, I think people right now are being like, "Oh, we need our perfect officiating." It's like we've never had perfect officiating.
Oh, there's always a lot of complaints.
There's always a lot of.
Yeah, we've had goals not given, incorrect. Like, yeah, no, there's lots of. Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
But they do deserve to be paid.
Yeah, I mean, they do deserve to get paid.
We're paying our prices.
Don Garber said they were offering a 25% raise across the board, which seemed like a lot. Then the referee organization said that's not true. It's only 5% for some people, and 25% of very little is still very little. So they're far apart. Like, this is not imminent, I don't think, an agreement.
Yeah, but Bjorn, you and I are paying our full price. It's not like we're getting a referee discount on our tickets, right?
That's true. That is true.
Our checks have cleared. So MLS, go pay the refs, because our checks for you have already cleared. So.
Well, but if it's just a fixed pot of money, I would rather they spend it on players than on the refs. On the other hand.
Well, there was
this
news
is
to
always
that too, by the way.
It's always the thing, right? Like, it's not our money, so we're like, oh yeah, pay those guys.
It is our money, though. Where else do they get money from?
I mean, yeah, in the end, it is.
There was an update on the player.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, when when Don Garber said that about America being the ATM of the soccer world, having this very commercially viable, saying to my friend, like, he must be, he must have seen me approach the merch shop when he said that. It's like,
what a great quote for the players to use during the next player negotiations.
why would you even say that? The ATM of the soccer world. First of all, that's clearly Saudi Arabia, right? At this point,
China,
it's not the China.
Not
Yeah.
us.
And even is that even something that you would be proud of? Like, that seems bad if you're the ATM of anyone.
We're the league that's used by agents to get better deals for their players in Europe. That's been a
Or
thing for a while.
attempt to
Right,
anyway.
attempt to.
Yeah. Olivier Giroud wants to go to
Right.
LA or New York. I'll take him.
Yeah, I mean,
we
if he
have-
goes anywhere, he'd go to NYC. But I think
we have
LAFC would
Jovan.
be a good. LAFC's got his French goalkeeper there already, whatever his name.
Yeah, and
Hugo
now
Lloris.
that Denis Bouanga has gone cold as ice, they need to
Bring in a real Frenchman and Olivier Giroud. The player rules did have a little bit of an update this week. Do you see that meeting in Miami was fruitful with all the owners, and every club now essentially has 2 extra DP slots moving forward.
because the young DPs no longer.
It's a little complicated, but from what I
Yeah.
understand, it used to be there's 3 DP senior slots and 3 young DP slots, I guess. In order to get your senior slots, there was some rule where you had to use all 3 of these to get all 3 of these, or something like that. I forgot what it was. The rule is like if you get 2 guys under 22, you're allowed to get 1 guy over 22, or some crap.
That's
Anyway,
not okay.
it's not the specifics, but they were related. The new rules is they're unrelated. Everybody has 3 senior DP slots and 3 young DP slots, 6 slots in general that you can use however you see fit for whatever.
For
They're
the
unrelated.
next for next year.
starting
or
starting
for
next
this
year,
year.
right?
Is it for next year or is it for this year?
I don't know. I'm assuming starting next year, or starting this summer or whatever, starting over the transfer window. But what the rule is everyone has 3 and 3, so 6.
I just heard somebody explained it on Twitter, what this means for my team, which is all I care about. And it seems like because we have 2 DPs that are young DPs, Santi Rodriguez and Thales Magno, and we could probably buy those down somehow under the new rules and have 2 open DP slots.
Well, I think why they said that is those are 2 separate things. So you can always buy down a DP. But I think now that the DP rules are unrelated.
That's not true. You can't always buy down DP. That's not true. It depends.
Well, if you have enough GAM and TAM, you can buy down their DP to a TAM or GAM contract, I think. But anyway,
not-
I think
okay.
they're unrelated. They're unrelated. So I think it used to be because you had 2 young DPs, you're only allowed 1 senior DP or something. But now it's unrelated. So if they're 2 young DPs, it doesn't matter. You can buy and sell whatever senior DPs you want, up to 3 slots. So it's just a little bit of an adjustment. So technically, teams can have 6 DPs per roster now, which used to not be a thing.
What?
That's been my interpretation of the rules. But then again, I did have to read it twice because MLS rules, you have to take a calculator out and do a little calculus.
Currently, okay, we're gonna now that we're in the weeds here, we have to sort this out. Currently, for an MLS club, this is Tom Bogert in The Athletic.
Right.
Currently, for an MLS club to use all 3 U22 initiative slots, they cannot have 3 senior over max budget DPs. In that instance, clubs can only use 1 U22 initiative slot. Under the expected change, clubs will have access to all 3 U22 initiative slots, no matter how they strategize their DP spots.
So 4 DP slots have now been upgraded to 6 DP slots. 2 extra slots.
Except those are not DP spots.
They're young DP slots. So there's 3 senior DP slots and 3 young DP slots. So 3 of them have to be under 22. That's true. But the other 3, it doesn't matter. I think that's all that happened.
And then they have, well, they hit the charge. They hit the budget at a different charge. A senior DP costs $683,000 on the salary cap, and the young DPs only $200,000. So the young DPs, this rule was started to incentivize MLS clubs to sign younger players as DPs versus over the hill dudes.
Don Garber we got the retirement league thing, so he created this new rule to fight that.
Right, to fight this idea. And now there is going to be yeah, so I guess that is true. So you do have six DP spots.
Tell me, this is bigger news than people are. It's big news. I don't know why it's kind of flying under the
Well,
radar.
except, is that true? You have
From what I understand, it's just we all now have 6 slots. They're unrelated. You can have 3 seniors and 3 youths, right? That's what it said. It's not like, because they used to be dependent on each other, right? Like you said, it's like you have to sign 2 to have the 1 or whatever. Now they're unrelated. Knock yourself out. Get yourself 3 kids. Get yourself 3 seniors.
But you still can't have 6 though, right? Because we have our 2 DPs are young DPs, but they still count as DPs.
Yeah, but you have 6 DPs. So you have 2 young DPs, an open young DP slot, and 3 open
Okay,
senior DP
talk
slots.
for a second, and I'm gonna see if that's true or not.
Anyway, so the other thing with me is I have a problem with this in general. I don't love the fact that our player rules are so engineered that every club has to be identical. I want a club with a bunch of old DPs, and I want versus a club versus a bunch of young DPs, right? I want a club versus a bunch of Americans against a club versus a bunch of international players. I love the variety and spice, and these MLS player dealies and rules and regulations make it so complicated to have any sort of identity in your dang club. It's like, because people signed too many old DPs, the league created a decree that you can only sign young DPs now and gave you rules for that. And it's like, let one club sign youngsters, let another club sign old folk. This stuff really does grind my gears, as it were, and making it just more complicated just doesn't serve anybody, I don't think. But, Bjorn, you come with a conclusion?
No, I still don't quite understand it, but we'll find out. There's more changes in the offing that we keep being told by the they keep teasing a massive overhaul of all these rules, and they were saying they were thinking of doing it last year, but then they didn't want to rush it, and they didn't want to. So something big
wait for
is
Robert Kraft to die.
Is going to happen. Either this summer or by the end of the season. There's going to be some big overhaul.
Let's hope so. And for crying out loud, get rid of all the rules is the overhaul. Simplify it.
Just make it one salary cap. But then
you'll have to come up with simple financial control or whatever. That's fine. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about opening spending. Just open it up a little bit. Let teams sign whoever they want to sign without the restrictions. A big soft cap would be more my neck. Lionel Messi and Lorenzo Insigne make more than the rest of their team combined. How is that controlling spending? That's not controlling spending.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about the DPs. You can spend as much money as you want on those guys.
Only on one slot.
3.
Give it to the 3 or the 6. Give it to the team. Give it to all 25. How about that? Give it to all 25 slots would be my thing.
25 DP slots per team, but still cost control.
No, just soft cap. The way that baseball does it is a luxury tax. There's rules. You can do stuff. The Bundesliga has strict financial controls. You can't spend more than you have, and they got financial controls. You're allowed to have financial controls. It doesn't have to be this engineered. And as I alluded to earlier, I don't love how engineered the competition is to have teams just all be so identical. Let the NYCFC sign a bunch of 35-year-olds. Let's see what that looks like. Let Cincinnati have a bunch of 18-year-olds. I don't know. Let's take a look. Right? Isn't that fun? Isn't that part of the fun to go take a look at this stuff?
There was, for a long time, the league did not trust the clubs to make these decisions. They did not feel like that was true for a long time, that the league felt like the front offices of the individual teams didn't have the expertise or the resources or the scouting.
That's true.
All of those, anything to make those decisions, and I guess that's the question mark, right? I mean, obviously things have changed a lot, and are the teams ready for the training wheels to come off? Can the teams handle all this stuff by themselves? Probably. They should be But I think there was also a time where people were grateful for the assistance, like because these front offices were short-staffed and people didn't have a ton of. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Mistakes are part of the game, right? They had this thing. Cincinnati sold Brandon Vasquez for $8 million. And the guy that Brandon Vasquez replaced at Monterey, the bench warmer, they bought him for $15 million.
Right.
Isn't that what happened last month? It's a weird business. But that's the beauty of, look, that's part of the game, right? How we're doing business. What's going on? That's part of the game, I think. Mistakes are part of the fun, I say. Anywho, I think we talked a little bit. We touched on the refs, touched on Garber, the weirdness of what's going on. We have U.S. Open Cup. The Red Bulls lost. So one or two other things I want to touch on, but please.
The U.S. Open Cup, by the way, is starting this week.
That's right.
And I'm going out on Thursday night to Montclair, New Jersey, to see the team from Morristown, FC Motown, NPSL team, play NYCFC 2, which is the only NYCFC team that's in the competition this year. So I'm going to go. Because,
good for you, Bjorn. Fighting the good fight, man.
Because I do support, and we'll see how many of the Twitter jockeys that supposedly care so passionately about this tournament I'm going to see out there on Thursday night.
So who are you challenging? The league or the fans?
Are they going to what?
Who are you challenging? The league or the fans?
I'm challenging the fans. I think that I call BS on a lot of these people who are like,
right.
"Oh, this tournament is so." Are you really like put your time and money where your mouth is and go to the game, watch the game? I mean, that's the reality. People don't pay attention to it. The U.S. Open Cup game that I've been to over the years were often pretty sparsely attended, and and that's just a reality. So if you care about this tournament so much, like you say, and you're outraged that MLS is just abandoning it, then show up
right.
and show out.
Make the U.S. Open Cup the highest attended soccer tournament of the year, and do not go to Leagues Cup. Boycott Leagues Cup. Don't go to those games.
I like Leagues Cup too. I'm not like that. I thought the Leagues Cup was fun.
True, but I'm saying if the fans want to give a message the way German fans give messages, you pack the U.S. Open Cup games and you abandon the Leagues Cup games. That's how you do that.
I mean, I'm hitting Montclair on Thursday. That's my contribution.
Fighting the good fight. There's probably going to be less people there than you've ever seen because this is NYCFC 2 versus, I guess Motown will bring some folks out.
Motown is that's their NPSL, so I don't know. I don't know that they have that big a following. We're gonna find out.
Friends and family are gonna be. I don't know. Have fun. But you were at NYCFC versus Toronto over the weekend with Fire star Lorenzo Insigne. They couldn't stop talking about it in the MLS press.
Oh, Bernadette. It will never, like, seeing Bernadeschi fail will never get old for me. It's just a beautiful thing. That guy, there was a lot to like about this game, and I'll get into it, but one of the highlights was a ball floating into the box, and Bernadeschi is like winding up for a scissor kick volley and just completely misses. Totally whiffs and throws himself to midair, completely misses the ball, just crumbles to the floor, and it's just beautiful.
Insigne, he ain't practicing. I don't know.
Insigne is very, very short, which we knew previously, but I got a very close up look of this. He's like Maxi Morales. I mean, he's probably a little bit taller but he's in that range. This could have been Nick Cushing's last stand potentially. I think that was sort of the vibe in the stands. Like, if we're gonna lose this one, and then we fell behind. A ball over the top fell to Toronto's number 7, forget his name, who then celebrated as if he had just won the World Cup when he scored. It's like, okay, but long story short, we came back. We won 2-1. We should have won. We should have scored more goals. There were a lot of good chances. The goalie had a pretty good game. We also missed a few sitters, but came back 2-1. Keaton Park got a red card, and with 20 minutes to go, and we're like, oh boy, here the fantasy ends. But no, there was, even though Nick Cushing did his usual pattern of like all defense substitution. We had like 8 center backs on the field by the end of it, and there was no more passing. We just but we held on 2-1 victory. Toronto really didn't manage much after the first 10 minutes. They looked very frightening and good, and then after that, nothing else. So yeah, it was fun. It was a nice day. It was good weather.
Different than the rainy from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, much better. But yeah, a pleasant. Also a good. I didn't look what the announced attendance was, but it was pretty good. Pretty good crowd again. I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, fun day.
Enjoy the fluke. We had a little opposite day. Starting next week, it's back to NYCFC failing and New York Red Bulls win.
You know who else is putting his money where his mouth is in terms of the U.S. Open Cup? Sasha Kljestan.
That's right. He signed with like a minor league team. What did he sign with? He's
going to play for Omaha. I don't some team, because they're playing in L.A. where he lives. I guess this came about.
The Des Moines Menace.
The Des Moines Menace. Yeah.
Des Moines Menace. He signed their USL League 2 club. Not even a USL League 1 club. He was a 2 club. The Des Moines Menace, and they're not in LA where he lives. They're in Des Moines. So I guess he moved to Des Moines. Is he not on the Apple TV broadcast anymore?
He is, but I guess he has off because of and he lives in LA. I guess even though the Apple broadcast is in New York, I don't know how he does that.
Yeah, and Des Moines Menace is in Des Moines, Iowa. So.
Yeah, but they are playing in LA where he lives. I think this was. I read this whole. I guess the story is that the Des Moines president met Sasha Kljestan at a spin class somewhere. They took a spin class together, and met each other, and there was some banter, and he was like, well, if you ever, I'll keep you, and he said, I'll keep your roster spot open for you for the US Open Cup, and it's like ha 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 ha, and so
hey,
obviously just joking, but then it turned out that because of the draw, somehow their first game is in Los Angeles, and so then I guess text messages were exchanged and were like, okay, you don't have to go too far from your house. We're gonna get a couple other people, and so anyway,
wait a minute,
so
is
Sasha,
every game gonna be in LA for these guys?
Well, I mean, presumably they are not thinking much past this one. This is an amateur.
So it's just a one-off.
I mean, I think if they win, probably he's in it for the duration, right? But I mean,
hey Bjorn, you've been team captain here for 10 years, son of Des Moines, proud. Bad news, you're gonna bench and replace him with a guy I met at spin class last week.
Well, but this is
he's gonna captain the team instead of you.
I mean, for the I guess I don't know what the vibe is at Des Moines, but for those MLS Next Pro teams, that's par for the course. I mean, I'm wondering if who they're going to send on Thursday, because they do that often, that the NYCFC 2, they give time to, Malachi Jones, who was the draft pick who did so well in preseason, hasn't gotten any time yet, but he came off the bench for NYCFC 2 this weekend. So I don't know. They could send Maxi Morales on Wednesday. He's on a rehab assignment. MLS teams are allowed to loan first team players to their second team. So I don't know how that works. I watched the NYCFC 2 stream this weekend just to get a sense. They were playing Miami. They came back from 2-0 down, but then lost. And yeah, Maximo Carrizo, remember we went to his house back in the day,
right?
When he got signed.
You see that 14-year-old kid?
He's playing. Well, he's not 14 anymore. That was he's now 16, and he's getting a lot of time, so he'll probably play. Anyway, all this to say, Sasha Kljestan. I don't know. Is he going to start? We'll see. But he was vocal, and he's part of the Apple the syndicate, the state-run media. But he was vocal that he did not like what was happening with the U.S. Open Cup, and he is promoting it, I guess, as best he can. So respect for that. Haven't been a Sasha Klestron fan always historically, but good. That's good. I support it.
The U.S. Open Cup free publicity machine continues, and they're just in the news, and they're getting more press than they've ever
We're
gotten.
all
Good
trying.
for them.
We're all trying.
Good for them. Good for them. You know what else in the news? Which I alluded to earlier. Joe Biden's in the news for supporting the relevant sports lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer FIFA antitrust lawsuit that's been going on.
Wait, what?
That's still a thing. It's been ongoing forever.
But where does he? What is his opinion, and why did he?
He just
say
supports.
that?
It's like when he signed the equal pay thing. I think it's more just a promo event. But I just started scratching the surface with this. It's something that's going on. It's something I do need to give a deeper dive in. But there is an ongoing, and it's been ongoing forever. Rocco Bucamiso, I think, was involved, or that was a different lawsuit. And then
Right.
Charlie Stilitano is a big proponent of this as well, and I believe he's still involved. Because this is about relevant sports, which is sort of like the other big marketing arm. It's like the anti-SUM. Relevant Sports, they have the marketing rights to La Liga. They're run by Charlie Stilitano, who started Champions World. He was an old Metro Stars
Right.
exec. He started Champions World, and he always made, Charlie Stilitano always made money with foreign soccer in the United States versus MLS. Let's make money with domestic soccer in the United States. So what Relevant Sports have been trying to do lately, I think most recently, they tried to have a Barcelona versus Girona La Liga game in Miami. They want a real La Liga game here. Much like how when I was in Deutschland in October, the NFL had real games in Germany, in Frankfurt, and also up in London in the UK. And Relevant Sports wants to do that here. They want to bring La Liga games here. That was nixed. Then they were going to bring an Ecuadorian league game here, apparently. That also was nixed. And FIFA is nixing them, and U.S. Soccer being a FIFA body. Relevant Sports sued U.S. Soccer and in turn FIFA, saying they're violating the great antitrust laws we established in the country in the 1920s to break up the old robber barons. And pretty much they're just like, listen, we're a private marketing company. We have right, like, they're not allowed to tell us we can't make money. Like, we don't. This is a separate organization. And that case was initially dismissed, but then the U.S. Appeals Court brought it up front and center, and they had some sort of a ruling. And then it's been back and forthing, and Joe Biden just came out and supported the Relevant Sports antitrust case. So that's really the end of that story. But I'm just,
He just
for me,
can't
it's
get enough.
very
He just
good.
wants more soccer.
Just wants
Joe-
more soccer.
Joe can't get enough.
But what I'm curious about is the legality of all this, right? It's like a weird, I'm always curious about that. It's similar to the U.S. Open Cup stuff where it's like FIFA's got rules, but FIFA's an independent sports governing association.
FIFA's got no jurisdiction. I mean, they do, but they don't.
Well, they nix the games. And in the United States, it's a free country. I'm allowed to make money however I want to make money, right? As long as it's within our laws, right?
Yeah, but the teams have, if they are worried about getting banned from competitions, etc. Yeah, they can't.
That's
afford
their
to
muscle.
Take that chance. Yeah.
That's FIFA's muscle. That's the whole, like, you can't do that because we can hold other stuff
For
over
the
here.
European teams, they have that.
And I think and U.S. Soccer is in court right now as the American extension of FIFA, and their whole thing is like, that's FIFA. It's like, we didn't choose that stuff. That's on them. Pretty much they're trying to deflect it off to FIFA, where I think the U.S. courts can't really go after right now or something, even though they have in the past. So I don't really – it's just another ongoing thing of the weird courtroom drama that U.S. Soccer always finds itself in, and just the money they're spending on their lawyers and their legal teams. And how none of it's going to U.S. Soccer development. It's all going to Johnny Cochran or whoever they got on their legal
Johnny
team.
Cochran. I just finally found a close-up of Keaton Parks, and he seemed to want to break that guy's shin. So I think he probably had that coming, that red card.
Well, what happened? James Sand did that 2 weeks ago. What's going on?
Well,
Why
that
you
was a
guys-
little bit more. That was a little softer, but also.
That was softer. That was pretty aggressive what James Sands did.
Oh yeah, okay.
Took
Well,
his
this
feet
one,
up
this
and-
one was one of those where like Keaton Parks, he didn't do it on purpose, but he missed he was going for the ball, and then he kind of like he steps on the guy's shin and sort of bends back his ankle, and that's always bad.
Well, yeah. So good red card. Good on the refs. Still pay the new
Fantastic red card.
refs. Fantastic red card. Okay, who do you got next week? Oh, the other thing I want to talk about is, again, part of this weird MLS-ness. It's just in the air. Is that the CONCACAF Champions Cup has been happening. MLS teams have been failing, usually.
Some of them, not Miami.
Well, but the MLS teams have been failing against the Mexican clubs. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Domestic, like they beat the Costa Rican clubs, they beat the MLS clubs, but they did not beat the Mexican clubs. And this used to be covered on the MLS website, but other than an article, they don't cover it on the MLS website anymore. So
It's just all Leagues Cup, and that's funny.
right, it's like there's a thing.
Yeah,
with
I guess we're not as. Monterrey beat Cincinnati. I mean, the big one was Tigres and Orlando. That was going to be tough. The Pachuca game, that was the big one. 6-0 against Philly. That was pretty embarrassing. So
that's my most successful TikTok video. All the Mexicans give me props.
But we still have some. There's still some teams around. There's Houston. There's Miami. There's New England. So it could still. There's still hope for the MLSers. But yeah,
I love it. And they're great games, and there was really one or two of them were really, really great games. But Mexican opposition was perfect again. So it's 4 Mexican clubs.
Yeah, I enjoyed that Tigres. I mean, I think Tigres are my favorite Mexican team. If I had to pick one, they're
the cool with Andre Pierre Gignac. Yeah, no, they're
Gignac and what's the winger's name? I love him. Anyway,
I forgot.
So
the highlight being that Chivas, Club America, and Monterrey all have American stars with Kate Cal, Zendejas, and Brandon Vasquez all playing, contributing, and scoring.
Yeah. Brandon
Vasquez scoring the killer against Cincinnati, by the way.
This weekend we have the wonderful, charming quirk of MLS playing through the international break. So both of our hot new strikers are going to be away. So both of our right backs are going to be away. So it's going to be an interesting lineup. Maybe we'll see Thales at the 9 again. That's always worked so well. And maybe Jimmy Sands will play right back again. That happened for a few games a couple years ago. So yeah, that's just always stupid. We're playing at Cincinnati, so hopes are not high.
At Cincy, we're hosting Inter Miami. They will have Luis
Messi.
Suarez and Sergio Busquets.
Luis Suarez, yeah.
I think everybody other than Messi is going to be there, right?
Should still be worth the $200, $300 or whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many players are really going to be missing the New York Red Bulls in Miami, other than Messi's injury, because the rest are either too young or retired.
I didn't think we had a lot of internationals, but we have apparently some of the youngins. Tavon Gray is now a regular for Jamaica. Mitja Ilinic gets called up for Slovenia, and then I guess Jovan, or the wonder striker, is getting called to the U18s maybe of Serbia, and Munsef Bakra is now part of the Algerian national team, much to his delight. For the first time, he got called up because he's been so great for us, sorta. Anyway.
Good for him. This has been the U.S. Hour. We've been generally uninformed for most of it, but that's okay.
That's not true.
You're right. We've been very informed. A lot going on in U.S. soccer. Clubs playing this weekend. USA versus Jamaica.
Bucket hats are here.
Grab yourself a bucket hat. Tschüss. Head on the Schnitzel shop.
Oh, I'm not gonna be around next week. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, talk about it. We'll see what's going on next week. All right.
All right.
Tschüss.
Bye.
Bye.